Right, Jack, how you doing?
All right. Yeah,
Good to
good.
hear you. Keep 'em well?
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. So obviously, thanks for joining us. I'm sure you're not too busy at the moment with everything going on,
Bored, mate.
but let's keep you busy for a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, so obviously, to start off, those that are watching right now, um, for anybody that hasn't seen what we've done previously with Owen and Ray, of course, is that it's just a simple Q&A. Got a couple of questions here and a piece of paper to go through with yourself. Nothing too bad, but if anybody has any questions as we go through, please file them into the comments, and I'm sure we can do our best to answer them. So just to kind of get us off, get the ball rolling and everything. If you want to introduce yourself, who you are, where you come from, what position you play, and how you started Amputee Football.
yeah. So I'm Sean. I'm from the Isle of Man. Um, I play centre back for England and Man City Amputees. I started Amputee football back in 2016, I think. I started playing for Manchester City Amps. Sort of did a few sessions with them, and then progressed into the England setup.
So did you initially want to get into England Amputee? Was that something that an opportunity came about?
Not really, I'll be honest. Like since I was five, I played able body football. I never really knew about amputee football till I was like 15, 16. It wasn't anything. I remember seeing it once when I was young, and I remember seeing them play on sticks, and I was like, I didn't really want to play on crutches. But obviously, when I came over and played at Manchester, yeah, I started off as a goalkeeper, and then when I seen that you had to play on crutches in order to play for England, that made me sort of want to do it.
Do you think you were better at able football or amputee?
I, I'm good. Hopefully, I'll reach better levels. Obviously, at amputee football, but yeah, I enjoyed able-bodied football. To be fair,
So do you kind of that transition between able-bodied football and amputee football? Obviously, there's a lot of differences. Did you struggle at all, or how did you come about the maybe barriers that were there? Obviously, from I presume playing with a prosthetic to being on crutches is completely different, and I suppose you've had to kind of change your game around. Is there anything you say that you did to try and help that?
it was obviously just practice. When I played able-bodied football, I did use my prosthetic, so I was right-footed. So obviously I had to adapt to using only the left foot. And then obviously as a goalkeeper, I never really played outfield at all. So having to swap from goalkeeper to outfield was a bit different.
What was the reason for going to play centre back? Was it more because obviously from a goalkeeper's perspective you kind of understand a little bit about defending and that kind of communication side of things? Obviously if I started to play outfield, the first thing I want to do is go and score some goals. So kind of going into centre back, maybe it's not a position that maybe people choose to go for. Is there any kind of reason for that?
I think, yeah, you said there, like, as a goalkeeper, most of the football's sort of in front of you, so centre back's probably the next best position for it. But I wouldn't say I chose it. I was more sort of put into it, and to be fair, I've enjoyed it, but I wouldn't mind going up top
Yeah.
occasionally.
Have you scored any playing at centre back at all? Or
I don't. We had a Manchester City semi final, and it went to penalties, but that was about it.
no, that doesn't count.
Nah.
So you talked a little bit about um, how you've maybe improved your game in terms of going from able-bodied football to amputee football. Is there any way that you would say you've been able to improve your game now? I mean, even from me coming down and watching you lot train to see how much you've improved. Is there anything that you've done kind of behind the scenes, or has it just been down to the train that's gone on at camps and things like that? So how have you kind of improved your game?
I think massively the past year has been more my fitness. So obviously, being back on the Isle of Man, I didn't really go on my crutches as much as in Manchester. So just getting more time on my crutches, maybe sort of going to the gym a bit more, and then obviously the more fitness testing we do at the England camps is obviously like improved it. I think that's the main part this year.
Have you
Is that
still been keeping yourself fit during lockdown? Just me going out for running, things like that. I think I've seen a couple of videos of you training. Was that like on an inside pitch or something like that?
yeah. So back on the Alaman, our lockdown rules sort of are a little less strict. We're allowed out now for as long as we want, and we're allowed to do as much sport as we want. But obviously, facilities are closed still. But the person who owns it does know me, so he's sort of letting me go there every Sunday afternoon. So I'll get a good hour or two on the pitch with my dad.
No, that's good. Good. Is he being your personal trainer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Terrible
um,
touch.
so when obviously you've been training, been working on your fitness and things like that, what would you say your main strength is as a player? I know you said that you've improved your fitness, but as a centre back, there's a load of other qualities that you need. Um, what would you say is your main strength in a game? You can be
Um,
as big headed as you want.
Big headed. I reckon my best part is just doing basics. I don't really do anything too fancy or anything like that. So I just try, and obviously playing at England and City, you got quite good sort of attacking players. So as soon as I get the ball, I try my best to get it off to them and let them do the rest.
How would you kind of describe yourself as a player? Would you say you're quite aggressive or conservative? I know as soon as you get on the pitch, sometimes kind of your mindset and things like that can change a little bit when you're kind of in the moment. But how would you kind of describe yourself as a player?
Probably, yeah, like you say, a bit more conservative. I'm not like you had Ray on the other week. I'm not quite like Ray is quite as aggressive and I don't know, like passionate as he would be on a pitch. But I reckon I'm a bit obviously I'm a bit I'm a bit younger, so uh, of a first team, and I think to improve it. Obviously, is just going away from it and taking sort of the positives, as Tim would say, and
Team. Do you feel it now because maybe amputee football's getting a little bit more kind of exposure? There's more opportunities for you. Do you feel that that's kind of really going to help you going forward?
so what was that? I missed that.
I said, obviously, you say you're quite young compared to maybe some that are in the team.
Yeah.
So now that kind of amputee football's got a little bit more exposure, there's a lot more kind of opportunities out there for you to go and do fitness or even just the camp in itself, the amount of things that are going on at the moment. Do you feel that's really going to help you become a better player? And is there anything that you can really pinpoint to say that that's definitely improved your game?
I think the biggest change in like the 3 years that I've been playing is the amount of staff and the amount of sort of the equipment and all the facilities. And obviously, when we started, it would just normally be your sort of coach and a physio or two. But obviously now we've got probably more staff than players at the moment. So sort of being surrounded by all that support, I think it's only going to benefit like most of us.
So we've got a question from Owen. He says, "What's the most challenging experience you've had as a player? Why was it challenging, and what do you do to overcome that challenge?"
It's ace. I think my biggest challenge was I think about 2 years ago. Ghana came over and played. They played the first team and the development team, which I was in, um, and it was just obviously the Ghana team proper fit. So just being exposed to that sort of level of a first team, and I think to improve it, obviously, is just going away from it and taking sort of the positives, as Tim would say, and sort of trying to work on what you struggled at.
So, see, you mentioned Tim there. For those that don't know, that we are going to be having a Q&A similar to this with Tim in a week's time. But is there anything that Tim's really done for you in terms of pushing you to become a better player? We talked a little bit about this with Ray. There he is, he's just waved. But is there anything that you can say that's really kind of helped you in terms of maybe your mentality and things like that?
I think recently, yeah, since we started, obviously the first team, we've been seeing Tim a bit more. I think he's definitely helped with sort of, or what I'm working on now is that sort of pre-match preparation and that sort of self-talk sort of thing. Obviously, being a younger player, maybe don't have that amount of confidence just yet. So obviously working on how I can get more confident and that kind of thing.
Is there anything that you're doing right now to become more confident, or is it kind of just a matter of time and being part of maybe lads that are a little bit more confident than you and things like that? Is it kind of, I know we've talked about this quite a lot through these Q&As, is how much of a family it feels like when you're part of the camp. Is that going to really improve your confidence, you think?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm doing a sort of weekly chat with Tim, just basically chatting about what we want to improve and that sort of thing. But yeah, being surrounded definitely helps out, and having people like, I think Ryan's just joined with his banter definitely improves your
or
confidence.
lack of banter.
Or ruins it, yeah.
Tim's just asked a question there. Actually, he says, "Tell us about your values." Getting deep.
I don't really know them just yet. We that's what we're working on at the moment. I still need to properly pin them down, but obviously you've got our core values at England that most of us try and follow.
And can you tell us what those core values are? Putting you on the spot.
I think honesty's there, hard work, lifestyle, and there might be two more. Go on, you tell me.
That's not my job to know. So we'll move on a little bit. So you talked how you played for Man City as well, and I believe that's kind of part of the Owen Mitchell League. Obviously, being part of the England amputee stuff, I don't really know much about the Owen Mitchell. Can you kind of explain a little bit more about that and kind of go into depth a little bit?
Yeah, so the Owen Mitchell League sort of more club based and a bit more sort of open to sort of other amputees at different levels. Currently, there's a Premiership and the Championship, and obviously City in the Premiership at the moment, with Portsmouth, Peterborough, and Everton, and we sort of have a monthly league fixture where we obviously play against each other, wherever it may be, in Liverpool, down at Welling, we've got to go Portsmouth at some point, and then yeah.
So so you played for Man City. How are you doing in the league? Is the league finished, or how's that still going to be continuing on?
I don't know how it's continuing, but at the moment, yeah, we're City at top of the league, unbeaten. I think we've only played 4 games so far. I think we've beaten all the other 3 because we play each other sort of 2-3 times each season.
Is there any games that you can kind of think of now that have been quite memorable in that league? Anything that kind of stands out for you?
Probably the Everton game. The past sort of 2-3 years, they've always sort of been the team that we play quite a lot and lose quite a lot. So sort of beating them this year was quite nice.
We've got one from Andy. What do you think about the staff at Nando's?
I think every Saturday we're down there, they do a great job.
Do a great job. So more kind of about your amputee kind of football career is, obviously you mentioned how you've transitioned from going from the development squad up to the first team. Is that been quite a big step up, would you say, or have you found yourself being able to kind of transition quite easily into it?
Yeah, it's obviously you're sort of playing with the best of the best in England, and yeah, I think just that overall quality of players that you're sort of surrounded by. Obviously, the development squad was sort of there was players that were sort of similar to my age, some that had previously played for the first team, so there was a bit more of a mix of ability and sort of fitness. Um, so yeah, I think that sort of step up of quality and intensity and training has been the main difference.
We've got a question there from Ryan Catamol. I think you were kind of expecting this one to come up. So I know we talked about last week, Ray, he's been on TV, but you've also been on TV as well. So the question is, how has it been involved in the national BT advert, seeing yourself on TV? So do you want to just kind of explain a little bit about that, how it came about, what the advert was, and obviously how it was seeing yourself on TV?
Yeah, so back in December, me and Reese went down to London for 2 days. We were involved in sort of bit of a filming. On one of the days we were sort of playing football, just a normal match, doing little scenarios. And then the second day we had our own sort of scene to do. Mine was opening the fridge with my phone. And I think we were sort of advertising a new sort of BT Wi-Fi or 5G, I think it might have been. So yeah, it was all sort of around using your phone and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, it was a bit surreal, sort of being on TV and you sort of get messages of people asking if it was just you and that kind of thing.
Do you feel like you're becoming a bit of a celebrity now, or?
Not a chance.
We've got another question here. Is how are university studies going? Is university as a whole helping your personal and professional development? Great question.
Who's that from?
That is Gino
Oh, Gino.
Polampo. I can't really. Is that right?
Colombo, yeah. He's one of my uni. Um, yeah, I think at the moment we've still got some assignments during it. But yeah, it's just something. Obviously, it's football, so it's not difficult to sort of get motivated to do the assignments and that kind of thing.
So what's your degree? What are you studying at the moment?
I'm at UCFB studying football coaching and management.
Are you enjoying it so far?
This first year has been alright, yeah.
So you're just finishing your first year now.
Yeah, first year, so I moved over to Manchester last September.
Right. Okay. And in terms of the whole kind of COVID-19 situation, are you still managing to get on with your assignments or the lectures online and things like that? Is that becoming a problem at all, or is it kind of not too bad?
It's not too bad to be fair. Most sort of lectures are yeah online, but we were supposed to be finished like I think last week, so we've only got one more assignment to do, and then that's me done for a few months. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, getting through it, getting through it. We've got Owen. He's asked another one. Is how would you describe yourself as a leader?
Um, I don't know yet. I've not been given that opportunity. I don't think. But obviously something I feel like if I was, it would be sort of by example and by what I'm doing.
So would you say you're not really kind of an outspoken leader? It's more about what you actually do on the pitch.
On the pitch and off it as well. Maybe I'm not the loudest, but I like to think I'm one of the ones that's working hard and trying to make it better for the team.
So you talked a little bit about like off the pitch. Um, how would you kind of describe the camp at England? Um, we'll first talk about just kind of the standard training weekend, and then we'll talk a little bit about actual a competitive match. So how would you describe what the camp's like? How are the people around it? Is that quite motivating for you and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. So I think everyone, like you said before, it's all a bit like a family feeling. I think we all get on quite well. Um, And yeah, and typical weekend sort of uh, the sort of fitness tests that they love to do. So sort of the bleep test, agility tests, speed tests, and then we'll go into more of a tactical session in the afternoon. And then on the Sunday, it might be a bit lighter with sort of small-sided games, a bit more fun, a bit more sort of scoring, that kind of thing.
Do you enjoy the whole fitness side? I know when obviously we're there preparing for the session, maybe morale's a little bit down, but you kind of know yourself that it's going to be beneficial. Like you said, you've worked a lot on your fitness at the moment, so surely it shouldn't be too tough for you. But do you kind of enjoy those sessions, or is it kind of just have to grit and bear it?
Yeah, definitely last year I didn't enjoy them. But yeah, like you say, you just gotta sort of put up with them and sort of be happy with your results at the end of the session. Obviously, if you don't put in as much as you could, you probably feel a bit worse than the actual pain of doing it.
And in terms of like on the actual day, like you said, the Saturday is usually fitness, a little bit of training. Then maybe on the Sunday you might go into more of a competitive match. Usually that's obviously between yourselves, between the team. But occasionally you may have another team coming down to obviously take part in it as well. How would you kind of describe the dressing room before the match? Is it quite tense? Is everyone excited? Is anybody that kind of stands out from you that kind of gets everyone going?
Yeah, sort of. I think the only dressing room experience I've had is that sort of France. When we played then, and I remember being stood next to Gaz, and he was buzzing. He was well excited. So I think that's been the highlight so far before a match.
You say that's kind of been your highlight in terms of your amputee career as well, is going abroad.
Yeah, yeah, that and Greece as well. So, um, yeah, the trips and obviously you're playing that France trip was my senior debut, so that's probably definitely the highlight. Yeah,
Did you enjoy it when you went over? Was it a good experience? Was it scary? Was it good to kind of do something a little bit different?
yeah, definitely. Like never played France before, never been sort of on a trip with that group of players. So you just kind of get to know each other a bit better. Obviously, you're with each other 24/7 for 3 4 days. Um, so yeah, you do get to know each other a bit better.
We've got a question from Tim. He says, "Who's the funniest player in the group, and who do you look up to in the team?"
Funniest player, Martin's up there, Mr. Biscuits. Um, yeah, I'd say between Biscuits and Mondo probably, just little pranks and that. Um, and looking up, who I look up to, probably Masters a lot, obviously. Um, in the Wolfpack, he sort of helped me along this year. He's been obviously good support, and obviously Tweedy, obviously captain. You obviously look up to him, but I'll get stick for that off Reed.
Is it quite good having kind of experienced people in the changing rooms? Obviously, I know there's now quite a lot of young lads coming through into the first team squad, but do you feel it's good having those more experienced, maybe to keep you level headed or keep you kind of focused and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. Like I think half the teams sort of come up through the whole sort of under 21s program and sort of being surrounded by players that have done have done all that sort of tournament football and been to World Cups and been to Euros. So sort of being surrounded by them is only going to be positive in it.
So, see, you talked a lot about your amputee football career, and then you've discussed a little bit about like your studies and things like that. Is kind of sport and football something you see yourself doing as a career in terms of going forward? Obviously, you want to partake in amputee football as much as you can, but in terms of your overall career, is anything that you want to do going forward?
Yeah, yeah. I don't see myself sort of being in an office or anything like that. So sort of doing this coaching degree hopefully gets me a job in some sort of coaching role, whether it be sort of in the community or I'm not sure about the academy side of things. Don't know yet.
It's getting there. So, you doing
Yeah,
any qualifications in terms of your coaching, level one, level two, that kind of thing?
yeah. I've just sort of finished I think the second block of level two. So ideal, I need to start finding myself a team and get that ticked off.
Right. Okay. Do you need to get a number of hours? Is that how it works in terms of pushing forward?
Yeah, so the tutor I think comes in and watches you coach your team sort of 2, 3 times, and then obviously he'll pass or improve you, and then he'll pass you again or something.
So, say if anybody has any more questions, please obviously feel free to drop them in the comments. And I think Jackal's been reading through a few if we're going through. Yeah, there's a couple of laughable ones, um, but we'll leave some of them. But in terms of people actually getting involved in amputee football, like we said, you transitioned from able body, making your way to amputee football. Is there anything that you say to maybe people watching or people stuck at home that kind of want to get involved, or anything that you'd say for that, really?
Yeah, so obviously everyone always says sort of just give it a go. So I think the best thing is just to try it out and see if you like it or not. See if there's another sport that you might prefer. So it's just sort of trial and error of what you enjoy and what you think you could have a future in.
We've got another one from Owen. Is what professional coach do you see as a role model, and why?
Um, I don't really have a professional coach role model. I've not really, like I said, I've never really looked into that sort of academy or professional football kind of coaching, so I wouldn't really have anyone to look up to. My favourite's definitely Klopp at the moment with Liverpool, with the energy he's got.
I think Owen's probably a little bit disappointed you didn't say him then.
I say his dad.
Got one from Ray. Is where do you want to be in amputee football in 5 years?
Hopefully with a European medal, that wouldn't be too bad. I think I think the squad we've got at the moment should be maybe not too bad, but everyone's I reckon got 3, 4 years left in them, so I reckon it'll be the same and be even better.
Do you think, obviously, in 5 years' time, you'll have a couple of medals from tournaments and things like that?
You'd hope so, with all the sort of effort and things that have gone into the squad that we'll have that ability and fitness and everything that goes into getting that medal.
Got a question from Thomas Defties. Who's the best coach at the camps?
It's definitely not Ryan. He doesn't turn up. I mean, there's only sort of 3 coaches there. I had Nathan with the under 21s. I've had him for a good year. He was good to have. DMAC obviously, and Owen. The keeper coaches, they're all similar. So
All as good as each other.
they're all as good as each other. Yeah.
So obviously, you like you said, you come from the Isle of Man. Is there no amputee football over there? Is it obviously there's quite a small population, but in terms of disability sport over there, is something that goes on, or do you still have to kind of travel over to obviously to England to really get involved in that?
Yeah, that was probably the hardest sort of part of it, sort of having to travel just to play football, basically. Because on the Isle of Man, obviously, I played the able body stuff, but disability wise, there's nothing really for physical disabilities. There is a Special Olympics team, but that's about as far as it goes with disability sport.
I've seen that you've got a couple of sponsors from the Isle of Man. Do you want to try and explain a little bit about that and why you need sponsorship in terms of going on trips and things like that with the amputees?
Yeah, so I've had sort of three, four sort of sponsors that have contributed to obviously the fundraising that each England player has to raise in order to go on trips and sort of have that training equipment and kit and that kind of thing. So Isle of Man Sport have been a massive sort of sponsor that have helped me. Manx Move as well, they've supported, and Dandar have just got involved at the moment, supporting this year. So obviously it's all appreciated.
Good, good. So does anybody else have any questions? I think there's a mention of Peter K. I'm not really too sure what that means. I'm sure you understand from Ryan. Is there anything you want
Yeah,
to say back to Ryan from that?
nah, it's just I'm not biting.
He was waiting for something. Um, so obviously, in terms of your own kind of personal development, obviously you're going through sport education, you got the amputees and things like that. Is there anything that you would do personally to improve yourself? Is there anything behind the scenes that you do? Obviously, doing your training. Is there anything else that you kind of do for yourself? Could even be other hobbies. Do you take part in any other sports and things like that?
Um, I used to do a bit of cricket. That's about it. I think it was always football that I was either playing or coaching. So it's always football, to be honest.
Do you support any? What's your favourite team? Is there anybody that you really, in terms of professional football, that you look up to?
I as a or growing up, it was always Gerrard. 'Cause I'm a massive Liverpool fan. Um, yeah, Liverpool.
We've got a question from Ryan. Are there any players whose team you either want to be in or avoid in training games?
Um, I think you try and avoid Jamie. You don't want him to.
What's the reason for that?
It just mug you off only. I'd say Tweed probably. Tweed doesn't really like losing. He doesn't lose too often in the little games that we play. So if you're on his team, you probably got a decent chance.
Do you say that you're quite competitive in terms of not wanting to lose and things like that?
I mean, yeah, no one wants to lose. That's what you probably shouldn't be in football if you don't mind losing.
Do you think that's quite in terms of the way the England setup is, in terms of everybody wanting that one thing? Everyone has wants to go in that same direction. Everybody knows that yes, we want to win the Euros. Everyone has that kind of mentality. Um, how do you think that's kind of been built in to the squad? Would you say that's kind of down to the coaches, or do you think that's kind of down to the work that you've done with Tim and things like that?
Yeah, I think sort of definitely the coaches, and I think the polar system uh, has definitely helped. We're obviously constantly getting reminded about sort of working hard away from training because obviously if you're just training once a month in crew, it's obviously not enough to go on and win something decent. So I think having that polar sort of motivates everyone um, to continuously sort of train.
We've got moving on from that kind of training that you said there. We've got a question from Assad, I think it is. It says, "What's your training routine now that you're in lockdown, and how has that changed?"
Um, Obviously we've got our England sessions sort of 3 times a week on Google Meet. So um, we'll all get together and do a bit of a hit session most on those 3 evenings. I've just bought myself an exercise bike, so I've been on that sort of in the mornings before breakfast, getting an hour session in, and then I think just for recovery, it's just sort of walking about, going on walks.
Do you think that this period right now, in terms of the whole country's on lockdown, the whole world's basically on lockdown, is is this time right now really, really important? Obviously, everyone is in lockdown. Everyone's not really getting the same amount of training as what they would do. In terms of going forward to the Euros in a couple of months, do you think that this time is really important? And is there anything that you're doing personally, like you said, a bit more training, things like that, to make sure that you get a place on the first team?
Yeah, I think this sort of lockdown is definitely most challenging part of the season. And I think, yeah, like you say, I think it's the best country or the best team that is training during the lockdown. I think they're the ones that are going to win, sort of um, the fittest team that will go, are going to probably be the ones that win it. So the most sort of work you're doing at home gives us a better chance of winning.
We've got a question from Reese. Is when you don't train, what do you do at home?
Well, as he full well knows, the Isle of Man is um, home to loads of things to do.
Do you care to explain?
He's put me on the spot here. It's a decent place to be. I don't know why he slags it off, to be honest.
No, there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that.
But there's good things to do, I promise you.
So
Just got
you,
experiencing.
obviously, in terms of your own downtime and things like that, you need time to relax. Is there anything that you do to kind of relax yourself? Do you like playing on the PlayStation, things like that, in terms of your own social side of things?
I want. I've got a PlayStation. I don't bash it as much as he does. But I'd say Netflix. A lot of Netflix. And then yeah, just sort of relaxing, to be honest.
I think that works quite well into the next question is from Thomas. He says, "What TV shows are you watching right now? Is there any recommendations on Netflix?"
Um, I did like Tiger King, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. I watched Afterlife as well. Those two at the moment. I'm trying to find one to one to move on to.
That's perfect. So I think that's kind of everything from my side.